What up gamers, I'm Sir Mav and welcome to another Destiny 2 video. Today we're looking at the weapon damage perks found on many of the weapons within Destiny 2 such as, but not limited to, Kill Clip, Rampage, or my favorite, Swashbuckler. You know, just because I play Titan a lot and I like to smash things with my fist or head depending on the opportunity. But in any case, I was curious to find out which weapon damage perk would ultimately provide any weapon with the most damage potential in game. I also wanted to find out if the damage increases were the same across all weapon archetypes. So I also tested the following perks listed on the screen to see if there were any percentage variances between each weapon archetype. And to be brief here, the answer was an easy no after testing. No matter the weapon, whether it's a pulse rifle, hand cannon, submachine gun, it doesn't matter. The weapon perk will apply the same percentage increases across the board no matter the weapon at hand. But along with the standard legendary weapon perks, I also wanted to test out some other damage buffs such as the Master of Arms perk exclusively on the Recluse and Markov chain on the exotic Monte Carlo. These are just out of curiosity and just an added bonus to the results tested within this video. So luckily the new weapons from the Sundial such as Steel Feather Repeater Auto Rifle has a lot of the weapon damage perks I was looking for in testing, so this made it easier to farm out these damage rolls for this video. Since we're not factoring in reload speeds just yet, we don't need to worry about any mods on our character's armor. The main point of these tests is to see the percentage increases we gain from these weapon perks to ultimately decide which is the best perk to have on any weapon within Destiny 2. So to start off, I tested out 7 different weapons for these tests. This Steel Feather Repeater that you can acquire from the Sundial was a no-brainer to bring into these tests because it rolls with 4, possibly 5 of the weapon damage perks you'll find within Destiny 2. For the Steel Feather Repeater, you'll find Swashbuckler, Vorpal Weapon, Multi-Kill Clip, and Surrounded. I'm also testing out Osmosis because I was curious as to whether or not the damage totals increase when you trigger Osmosis and make the gun an energy weapon. And Osmosis itself is an interesting one because it doesn't change a kinetic weapon into an energy weapon until you toss a grenade. The gun then adds the energy element of the elemental class you're using and applies it to the weapon. Now, as you may know, energy weapons work great against barrier enemies, especially if you can match up your weapon energy to the color of the barrier. So such as solar to solar, arc to arc, and void to void, something we learned early within Destiny 2. But although Osmosis can turn your kinetic into an energy weapon, it won't have the same characteristics and damage dealt to a target. For normal energy weapons, though, damage it impacts on a shield will be the same damage it impacts on the same enemy with the barrier down. But Osmosis does buff your kinetics damage on a barrier by 47%. If you match that barrier energy, in this example shown here we're matching up to an arc barrier, you can increase the gun's damage against a barrier of the same type by 87%. The downfall is once that barrier is gone, the damage will drop off by 5% as long as Osmosis is active. So nonetheless, cool concept, but in reality you're better off swapping between your energy weapon or using a grenade to break the barrier of an enemy. Vorpal was also a new weapon perk that was added at the start of the Season of Dawn. Vorpal weapon perk allows your gun to deal more damage to bosses, vehicles, and guardians with their super active. After testing, this perk allows for a 13% bonus in damage against the mentioned targets, but this is only against those higher end targets mentioned before. So on all other targets, you will still only deal base level damage, and you'll later on learn that this may not be the best option as far as perks go. For instance, let's talk about the next weapon damage perk, Surrounded. The Surrounded perk activates when you have at least 3 enemies in close proximity to you, and in the basis of PvE, this is going to be most of the time. So with the Surrounded perk active, you're already surpassing the Vorpal perk, as Surrounded will allow your weapon to dish out an additional 23% damage. There's even a Surrounded mod that you can get from 801 that further increases this damage and allows the perk to linger for a little longer when you're no longer surrounded. So definitely a good option when you're getting up close and personal with ads in Destiny 2 within the PvE content. Next damage perk I wanted to cover is Explosive Payload. This perk allows the weapon's projectiles to create an area of effect detonation on the bullet's impact to your target. This is definitely one of the best perks you can have on any scout rifle or hand cannon, as there's no triggering of the perk, it's just always there with every shot you take. And with Explosive Payload, you will increase your weapon damage on a target by 13% to the body and by 8% to crit areas. The time to payload perk that you will find on the Better Devil's hand cannon works essentially the same as Explosive Payload, but with just a slightly longer delay after the initial impact. So before we get into weapon damage perks that actually have a time limit on them, I wanted to briefly cover high impact reserves. Most of the time you'll find this perk on the pulse rifles within Destiny 2, but I'm not much of a fan of this perk due to you having to empty your magazine every time to get the most out of the damage it offers up. You also have to empty half the mag before the perk starts to increase the damage of your gun, but when you do get there, the damage of each bullet will increase from 11% up to a max of 20% at the final rounds of the magazine. In my opinion, not that great of a perk because it forces you to work with half a mag to gain those damage increases. Plus, as you'll find out here soon, other perks offer up more damage to your weapon. Next up on the list is Rampage. Rampage is a simple perk that increases your weapon's damage for every kill you get with that weapon. This perk maxes out at ×3 and you only have 3 seconds between each kill before the perk goes away. This timer can be extended though if you add in the weapon mod Rampage spec, which will increase the duration of Rampage for your weapon. After 1 kill, damage will increase by 9%, after 2 it'll increase to 17%, and once you reach the max of 3, your weapon will do 25% additional damage. It's not a bad perk at all when facing multiple squads of rank and file enemies in Destiny 2, but without Rampage spec on, it goes away rather quickly. Swashbuckler, one of my favorites as mentioned before, works very similar to Rampage in that you gain increased weapon damage for every enemy you take out. In Swashbuckler's case, this goes to a max of ×5, but Swashbuckler is unique in that you can immediately go to ×5 with a melee kill. Swashbuckler will also last longer than Rampage at a 5-second duration before needing another kill to keep the damage stat going. So at ×1 you would do 6% additional damage, at ×2 12%, ×3 17%, ×4 21%, and at a max of ×5 25% additional damage. But like I said before, you can bypass these stacks and go straight to ×5 with a melee kill. The last 2 damage perks will require you to reload your weapon before the damage increase is applied, so it's best if you have a fast reload speed perk to get the most out of these 2 perks. First up is Kill Clip, which allows for an additional 25% damage increase after killing an enemy and then reloading your weapon. This perk will last only 5 seconds though, so use it wisely. Multi-kill clip works exactly the same, except you have a chance to do even more damage based on the number of kills you get in one mag before reloading. The damage stack only goes up to ×3, so no sense in killing any more than 3 enemies before reloading your weapon. So after 1 kill, or ×1, you'll gain an additional 14% damage to your weapon. At ×2, it'll go up to 25%, already matching up to Kill Clip, Max Rampage, and Max Swashbuckler. And for the most damage, if you get to ×3, you gain an additional 33% damage for 5 seconds against enemy targets. Definitely a deadly weapon perk if you can stack up those kills properly. And just out of curiosity, as I stated in the beginning of this video, I wanted to test out the damage perks exclusive to the infamous Recluse that recently had a slight nerf, and the Monte Carlo auto rifle. For the Recluse, it has the Master of Arms perk, which triggers after a kill with any weapon. Once triggered, this will enable the Recluse to do an additional 17% damage against enemy targets. Definitely a solid perk, as you'll always have this damage buff for the Recluse as long as you're getting kills with any weapon every 4 seconds. And then last up is Monte Carlo's damage buff, Markov Chain. This buff is very similar to the Swashbuckler perk in that it goes up to ×5. So for every kill, whether melee or with the auto rifle itself, increases that stack by 1 and the buff lasts for 5 seconds. So the only difference is that you can't get that automatic increase of ×5 with a melee kill like you can with Swashbuckler. But with this buff, the Monte Carlo can dish out some phenomenal damage the more kills you stack up. At ×1, the Monte Carlo will deal 11% additional damage, ×2 it'll be 21%, ×3 28%, and at ×4 34%. And at ×5 you'll max this weapon out at 39% additional damage. I already loved using the Monte Carlo before these tests, but after seeing the damage increases makes it even more of a remarkable auto rifle to use. But there you have it, gamers, all the weapon damage perks tested for Destiny 2, and on the screen now you'll see all the stats for each perk and how they impact the damage dealt against any target. Multi-kill clip, kill clip, and Swashbuckler are definitely my top tier suggestions for any weapon that has them, as they are going to be the most versatile in their uses in both PvE and PvP. Plus, they provide you with the best overall gains to your weapon's damage stats. So any weapon you can find with these perks will likely be top tier within your arsenal. But before watching this video, what was your favorite damage perk and why? And what else would you like to see me test out within the next video? I look forward to reading your thoughts. And as usual, if you enjoyed the content, drop this video a like and tap fire subscribe for more on Destiny 2. But until next time, gamers, this is Sir Mav, signing off.